All right, we are back with an update. So, currently, we have the wagon, and it's got a lot done, but there's still more to do. One of those things is the mirror situation. The mirror situation is that for now, I just have the stock mirrors bolted on. On this car, I have changed out the door harnesses because this car used to have they call ribbon cable mirrors. So that means that inside these mirrors right here, the motors didn't have your standard 6 or 12 pin connection. They had the flat ribbon cable wires, and it had a completely different system for driving the mirror motors. So on these cars, it was a bit of a tricky situation, much like my red car. This car is a M3 conversion, and I would say it's 99.9% M3. One of the things on it that is not converted is the mirror system. So I did the conversion on these mirrors. As you can see, they fit, they look good. I even got the power folding on there. But these still have the ribbon cable motors. And I hate those motors because they are prone to just die on you. There's a lot going on with those mirrors. Each mirror has a module that is not only a brain, but a motor, and also drives the heater element for heating your mirrors when it's below like 40 degrees outside. And so with that said, they have a tendency to die through moisture, through just anything. And it's really annoying when you have to like change out the mirror motors. So I've been lucky on these because I haven't killed one in a long time, knock on wood. I'll get to it eventually. I'm going to change out the door harnesses in this one. On this one, I went ahead and did it preemptively. I changed out the whole door harness from a pre-facelift, but really from a e46 that did not have ribbon cables. It was from another sedan I found in the junkyard. I went and just pulled the door harnesses. Everything else matches up. And with that said, these mirrors don't work anymore. They're literally just bolted on. That's it. They don't plug in anymore because the plugs don't match up. So yeah. Hold on one second here. Okay, we're good. So with that said, these need to be changed out. And the reason I changed the door harnesses out because M3 mirrors electrically are the older system, 6 12-pin connection, usually just 12-pin connection. That goes all the way through 2006. M3's never got the ribbon cable motors, which is good. And because I changed out the door harnesses on here, that means that I can actually plug in the M3 mirrors. And I've already went ahead and installed the M3 mirror modules in each door. So they are ready to go. I've already tested the mirrors. They work. I've plugged them in. I just can't bolt them on. So I need to take these off and bolt on the M3 mirrors. Let me get the M3 mirrors and I'll show you something. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So I went ahead and I grabbed the M3 mirrors just so I can show you what we're dealing with here. So here are M3 mirrors, and they may look similar, but there's a lot of differences that prevent this from going on. So you have this, and you got this. The M3 mirror has 2 bolt holes because the M3 door is a frameless door, and it has no door frame, unlike a sedan where there is a door frame. It goes all the way around. And so this hypotenuse right here, this long part of the triangle base, is designed, see that flat area? That flat area actually sits underneath the A-pillar on an M3 coupe or convertible. If you were to get these bolted onto a sedan, which requires some things, which is you can't even use those bolt holes right there. Sedans have 3 bolt holes and they're in 3 different locations. So you have to figure out a way to mark the locations of these 2 spots right here, put that on your door base, mark it so that you can drill it out. And then once you drill them in and you bolt this to the door, it actually sits on top of the door, not inside the door, so it actually doesn't go under the A-pillar. So what you're stuck with is an M3 mirror that is showing this whole flat piece right here instead of this, where it sits under the A-pillar. And the reason on my red car it looks like that is not because it's sitting under the A-pillar, it's because I shaved off 3 millimeters or 4 millimeters of this whole piece right here so that it's more flat and sits flat against it. And that's why that fits there. And then you also have to make some more adjustments on the bottom here. You have to make adjustments here to fit it onto the base. See that little notch cut out right there that goes over the this door trim right there? There's a notch that cuts out. Well, these don't have it. You have to cut a notch out in that too so that it sits downward. So, and then on top of that, once you get it physically bolted on and finish all that, electrically, you need to take the mirror motors out of these mirrors here, make adapter plates, and install them into these so that you can run ribbon cable motors in these housings. And that's a whole nother thing. It's ridiculous. So anyways, what I want to do is I was going to do all that, but I decided to change my mind once I saw that Attila, the guy that makes those awesome fenders right there, he also thought up a solution to have a company make aluminum base plates, so basically replacements of these, and he sells them, and I'll put a link in the website to his shop. He sells replacements of these where they're just made for the sedan, but they bolt to the M3 mirror. They have the thin piece right here instead of this thick piece. They have the 3 bolt patterns for the sedan instead of just 2 right here. And it has the proper notch cutout on the bottom. So let's go ahead and take a look because I just got them in. Here we go. So he has partnered up with a company. They made a design with CNC, and he had a company cut these out on a lathe. Visually, they are not the prettiest right now. They definitely need a lot of cleanup. Looks like they come out of whatever system they have, and they're just very dry, rough. So there is going to be some sanding and grinding to get these a little bit perfect. The main thing we care about is this. The triangle hypotenuse area, it's thinner. The mounting points right here for the M3 mirror. And then the 3 spots to mount to a sedan. So there we go. So what I want to do today is I want to get these cleaned up a little bit. They won't be perfect because I'm going to take the car to paint in probably a year or 2. I'm going to sand these down a little bit. Probably get out a grinding wheel and just grind down a little bit of these rough edges here. And then I want to get these bolted on to the mirrors, come back, show you what that looks like, and then try to get them bolted onto the car and see what that looks like. But yeah, these are going to be a huge time saver though for me personally, because I did not want to have to deal with cutting down this edge right here. It is such a pain, and then it's a pain getting it to be equal on the other side too. It really is. And I do not like the idea of only having 2 bolts holding my mirror on. Like on this car, there's only 2 bolts holding it on. And it's okay, I've never had a problem, but I will definitely be happy with 3 holding it on. So yep, we'll take a break and I'll be back with an update. Alright, so just gonna get a quick few video clips of some of the process that I'm using. So I will get sandpaper and I'm going to sand the smoothness down a little bit more. There's a couple areas here, it's hard to see, where it needs to be sanded down, and it may need to be filled in with some type of finishing putty, but that's for later. I'm not really too concerned about this. This is the easy stuff, really. What I'm going to be focusing on is grinding down these edges to be a little bit smoother. There's some casting marks here. also on here. So basically, so I got this sanding belt tool, and I'm gonna give it a try and see how I like it. All right, so we did a little bit more sanding. You saw I was using the handheld belt sander, and that worked for getting a lot of the huge high spots. Like here's one I haven't worked on yet, but actually I did work on this one, but there were like lots of little, like right here. On the other one I was able to get a lot of this trimmed down, and there was some large bumps in the casting I was able to get down, and especially on these little edges and corners here. But what really did the trick was about 20 minutes of sanding with 180 grit sandpaper. And this aluminum is soft enough where it sanding by hand really helps. So here we go. We have, see here, one of these two anyways. So we have these two right next to each other. You can see here. So this one is still very rough from the casting marks. This one is a lot smoother. Listen. It's a lot smoother. This is a lot rougher. So about 20 minutes of sanding with this got me this. And using it with your finger really let me get into a lot of these grooves. There's a low spot right here, if you can see it on camera. That's from me taking out a divot in the casting. I will be able to sand the remaining area around it down. There are some pit marks from the casting that didn't get filled in. So what that means is we'll just have to go over this with a putty in certain areas and smooth it down. But overall, 20 minutes of sanding got me this, which was great. So I'll probably put another good 30 or 40 minutes into this one, and then I'll move on to this one. And once I get those done, just smooth enough so I can get them mounted. And then when I'm ready to go paint in a year, I can come back here, wet sand it really good, and then get a putty fill on here and fill out all the little divots, because I don't want to do any of the finishing work with putty or anything like that if I'm going to be driving with these for a year. I'm probably going to clear coat these so that these don't get oxidized, since it's straight aluminum. So I'll probably put a clear coat on them just to protect it from the elements while I'm driving it. And then when I'm ready, I'll sand it, I'll strip it down and get them all ready for paint later on. But I was a little worried about getting the sanding down, but man, 20 minutes got me this. That's pretty darn good. So I'll move on to this next one, and I'll be back hopefully with some video of them mounted to the mirrors. All right, we're back. It is the same day. I have changed clothes. I'm still working on the mirrors. No, I haven't been working on the mirrors this whole time. Had to get some more work done. Helped with the kids and the wife when they got home, and then did some more renovation work on the new room for my 1-year-old because we have a new baby coming in 3 weeks. So the nursery will be taken over. He needs a new room, so we're getting that ready to go. And then when that's done and they go to sleep, I can't work anymore, and then I come back into the garage and do some more work. So what we have here is I've got the driver's side mirror base now, and did some more sanding on it to kind of match the passenger side. And it's where we're gonna take a look at them next to each other. And when I go to edit this, hopefully I can do one of those cool side-by-sides where I show you the before and after at the same time, maybe in like a little box or something right here, who knows. I guess doing this is a reminder to myself to do it. But so yeah, it's a lot smoother as before, both of them. I've gotten to a point now where I feel comfortable mounting them with the M3 mirror housings, and I can run them. Before they were just way too ugly. There were so many casting marking imperfections, I couldn't do it. So I needed to go ahead and get them sanded down at least to something presentable. What's funny is that this is bare aluminum, and the color of it is so similar to the titanium silver, which is on the M3. One of the most common silver colors that people love to hate. But it's funny, when you put this on this, it all looks the same color. So, and you'll see it when I go ahead and mount the mirror and come back to that. But yeah, I wanted to show, I think it was this one right here. So this mirror had a huge low spot. There was like almost like a chunk had peeled out when they removed it from the casting. And I was able to use the 180 grit sandpaper and just sand this whole area down until it's where it's at now, and you can barely see it. It's there, you can barely see it. But what's gonna happen is, because there's so many little casting marks and pit marks, these will receive a finishing putty glaze over everything, and then the glaze is super easy to knock down with sandpaper, and that will help fill in this right here. It would have been so much worse trying to use a finishing putty on huge chunks like that. It just would not be good. So taking the time to sand these down to what they are now and then applying a finishing putty will definitely help out a lot, especially on this one. This one's got some, like a trail of pit marks right there. You know, and in the meantime, I'm also going to take my stock M3 mirror bases and work on those a little bit over the next year and get those converted over to match my sedan, and I'll see which one I like better. At least I'll have both, but for now I don't have any time to really modify the M3 bases because there's a lot of cutting and a lot of drilling and test fitting, whereas these will fit. They just needed some sanding to get presentable. So we'll be back. I'm gonna go ahead and mount these on here, and then I will come back and show you what they look like, and then we'll get them mounted on the car. Okay, it's been a few minutes, got the mirrors together. We're gonna take a quick look from the front, and then from the back I'll turn them around. But here we go. They look like M3 mirrors, just like what anybody think. I'm currently running E90 pre-LCI glass. I do like this glass. It supports auto dimming and heated mirrors, of course. I don't have the wiring hooked up for the auto dimming. I do have it hooked up in my sedan because at one point I did have auto dimming glass on this car, and with that was actually a different thing. But so on the newer cars like E39 M5s, X5s, E90s and above with the electrochromatic mirrors, they actually have additional wiring that goes from the mirror here, the reverse mirror or rear view mirror, and it goes across into the body harness, and it wires into the door harness for the mirrors, so that the mirrors auto dim with the main mirror. And I used to have it working on here. The problem on here though is because I have the ribbon cable mirror motors on these still, it overloaded the mirror modules on them, and every time I just had too much going on. I have power folding mirrors, then I have the heated mirrors when it was cold, and then it had auto dimming. And what would happen is when all that stuff's going on and all that current is going through, it would just fry the mirror motor. And I was going through mirror motors like crazy. That won't happen with these because these aren't those crazy ribbon cable motors. These are just a standard 12-pin motor. And so I will eventually wire in the auto dimming wiring on this car. I've already modified my M3 mirror with the outputs for it. So I just need to hook the wiring up to go through the headliner, down the A-pillar, down to both sides right here. One will go to this side and one will go to that side. And then all you got to do is just add a couple pins to the door harness. And I have a big box of wiring right here, of course. So plenty of stuff to harvest from. And you just solder on leads for the door pin harness, and you just find a couple open spots on the door pin harness. There's lots of open spots there because they don't use every single slot on the door harness. And then you just put some there, and then you make another harness for the mirrors right here. And then they won't fit in here because these are all taken up, but you can actually no, you probably can. Yeah, there's 2 extra spots on here for power folding. So I may use power folding. I don't know yet, but you can make a separate harness that plugs into the door harness here, and then have auto dimming mirrors. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run these glass for now because I like it. It looks good, and it's the only glass that I have. So it's a lot better than this stuff. Look at that mirror. It's just ridiculous. And it's this old style too. I hate this. It's got double sticky tape and this locking ring. And pretty much when you want to change glass, you're gonna rip off the face of your motor every time you put that on. So it's just stupid. I like the new ones. They're clip-on essentially. You just clip them on, and unless somebody hits your mirror, they're just not coming off. So let's take a look at these mirrors. I'm gonna turn them around here. Sorry. All up in the face again. See if we can turn these around. All right, so here we have it, and I told you it's such a good match to these mirrors. It's scary. It's almost like they chose titanium silver because it looks closest to aluminum. So aluminum, bare aluminum, titanium silver. It literally looks like all the same color from far away. So I think this is presentable enough to at least mount on the car and get me going. And then later on, when I'm ready to do paint, we'll do finishing putty, like I said, get it all cleaned up and ready for paint, but I don't have to worry about that for a while. So yeah, let's go and get these things mounted on, and we'll come back with another video with them on and see what the difference is. All right, it's been some time. We won't specify how long that took, but it was annoying. Got the mirrors bolted on. I finally was able to finish off the rest of the door panels. I had the door trim that goes around the inside of the door frame off, the thing that holds the speaker grills that say HK on them. So I finally got to put those in to finish off the look on the inside, and got the mirrors put on. So let's take a look. Let me put these mirrors down so you can take a look. Yeah, this car has power folding mirrors. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, from afar, they look pretty close. I'll take a look here. They're bolted on. I mean, I would say it's good enough for now. But they're on there. Mirrors are on. And it's funny because the aluminum looks just like the paint almost. That's funny, which looks like this, and this car is like so many colors, it's not even funny. I think my son and my wife are embarrassed to ride in this car, but I love it. I love this car. Yeah, so there's the driver's side mirror, and I think that finishes up the look pretty good. much better than the standard mirrors. And I got my mirror controls hooked up so I can adjust my mirrors like I want. I'll do it when I'm inside the car later. But yeah, I think that about does it for tonight. Made some good progress. Got the mirrors on. Starting to look more and more like an M3. At least that's the goal. The goal was just to have a pretty cool, fun car, and that's what this thing is turning into. And then this one, hopefully I can get some time to drive it. I love this car too. One day, I hope that I can do like a cool video that shows off both cars. Find a nice place where I can do like a breakdown review of both cars. That would be pretty cool. Sit there and just go through each car, talk about all the stuff that's done to this one and all that one, and then go by feature, and then go for a drive in each one and do a comparison. I'd like to do that one day. But anyways, till next time, I think we accomplished a good amount of progress tonight. So, till the next one. So another quick update on the mirrors. Discovered a small problem. So it looks like when they created these mirror bases, they created it based on the right side passenger side. The right side passenger side has a slightly different angle than the driver's side on a left-hand drive car, and vice versa for a right-hand drive car. So the angle is slightly different between the driver's side and the passenger side. Instead of making the mirror bases for each side uniquely, they made it the passenger side one, and then they duplicated it to the driver's side, which is not good, because what happens is the angle is all wrong. So if you take a look here, this is the passenger side, and you can see that the whole housing is tilted in a little bit more, just a few degrees. Okay, if you look here, here's a driver's side one. It's not as angled. So basically you come over here, this is tilted way in, and what happens is now you have to adjust the glass all the way out just to look behind you. So technically the mirrors are the exact same angle between the driver's side and the passenger side. But yeah, if you take a look there, that is angled way in. It should be pulled out by a few degrees, and you can't do it because that's how it is. And if you look over here, again, here is the driver's side. See how much it's pushed out by a few degrees? And you go over here to the passenger side, and you can see how much more tilted in it is. And that's just how it is on these cars. It's just enough where you can't notice them side by side, but when you start adjusting the glass, you can notice. Alright, so a little update on this mirror situation. One of the things that I didn't realize was that when Attila marketed these mirrors, he came out with a fitment video on his YouTube channel, and in the middle of that video it clearly said that he purposely made the mirror bases exactly the same between both sides so that these mirror bases could be used between left-hand drive and right-hand drive. I don't love that, but that's what he chose, and I didn't watch the video all the way through. So there's that. That's my fault. So where we're at now is I don't like where the driver's side mirror glass is on this, and I'll show some pictures of this right around here. Because when the driver's side mirror is in its stock location, the glass is having to be flipped out all the way out to where the edge of the glass is poking out of the housing. It just looks bad. Like I'm driving and I'm looking at it like this, like, wow, look at that glass. So what can we do? We can't change the mirror base. The mirror base is a solid piece of aluminum that's been created. Right now, I don't want to do the modification of the M3 mirror bases because I don't have time for that. That takes a couple days. So the next thing is we need to move. You can't just move the glass because the glass and the mirror need to be adjusted together to keep the glass orientation correct. So with that said, my idea was, here, we'll go over here. Take this guy here. All right, so this is what the mirror looks like without the whole, this eggshell casing right here, this thing. So when you take all this internal, the motor mount, the motor out, and the bracket on the inside, this is exposed. That's a spare one that I have. The other one is in there. And so my idea was, you know, like the glass, the internal bracket, and this piece, they're all one piece. And they're all oriented this way because of this, how this piece right here is shaped and how the foot is mounted in there. I need to move the mirror, and I know that there's a few degrees that you have in there that we can be comfortable with moving the mirror without it looking ugly. So what I thought was, you know, it's got three bolts here, but on top of that, there are plastic keys underneath to help lock this in place. So see how I can't, the screws are gone, but I still can't twist it because there's 3 tabs right here. 1, 2, 3. And if you look in here, there they are. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2 are small, 1 are big. So you cannot, it's keyed in a way where you can't put this on wrong. My thought process was if I grind those tabs out so that this can move, then I can elongate these bolt holes right here with a Dremel that will allow me to rotate this piece. And that's kind of what I did here. So here's the stock location of the mirror. And if I put the glass on right now, it's gonna be like sticking out. I'll have to adjust this motor like really far out, and then it'll just look ugly. But now that I've grinded those tabs out of the way, now I can rotate this whole housing, and I made some indexing marks so you can see I can rotate this whole housing that much, okay? What that does is it swivels the mirror out, but it also brings it down just a little bit. It's an unfortunate side effect of how the whole bracket system is, but you don't ever notice it. Visually, you still can't see it pointed down. It's pointed out, and it matches the other one. This gap right here will go away once I start bolting everything and it's nice and solid again. So I think that's the way we're gonna go for this. And with it indexed in this orientation, this allows me to push the glass back in the housing a little bit more. And I'll come back with a video when all this is done so that you can see it. It's not perfect. It's not completely, you know, like flat, what I, you know, like I wanted, but it's much better. The glass is more tucked in. It doesn't stick out as much. And it just looks a lot better. So I'll show a video when it's all assembled back together. And I think that's gonna be my resolution and fix for this. All right, so we'll be back. All right, I just wanted to show a little bit of part of the process, but let's see here. So basically I've put my mirror housing at the indexing marks that I made earlier, okay? There's one there, there's one there, and then there's one there. With that said, now I can make new indexing marks on this barrel here, and then this barrel slides onto this piece here, and you'll see it when I pull it off. See how it's right there? I got the indexing marks. So now, if I pull this off, so that I know now when I pull this piece out, which I'll do right now, set up the tripod. So go ahead and take this last one out. So now we have just this piece. Now I can come back and take this piece, you know, put it on the indexing marks that I made. Like that. Because I know if I do it right here, which is where the bolt holes are, which you can't see very well because of the camera, but that's where the holes are right there. Indexing marks are off. Rotate it to where it needs to be. Yeah, that's good. Then I'll know now the holes are off. I know exactly where to drill and mark this larger up here so that I can get my screw all the way through. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get my Dremel, I'm going to modify this piece, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've went ahead and elongated the holes. You can, it's hard to see it because the head of the bolt kind of covers it up, but you can kind of see right there. So it's been rotated over. So I've screwed it down. The indexing marks are lining up where I want them to be. So the next thing is I'm going to assemble that whole eggshell piece back on here again, put the mirror on, power it up, adjust it to where I am relative to where I'm sitting, and see the difference in where the glass is, and we'll come take a look at that. All right, we're gonna try something a little bit different here, a little bit more progress instead of just cutting scenes to having stuff already done. But what I have done is I've put on the last video we saw, we had this bracket in, and I had the bolts on and indexed properly after elongating the holes. So then I went ahead and put on this eggshell by itself, and the eggshell is held on by one screw right there, and that holds this shell to this ear right here. And then this wiring harness kind of comes through underneath here. Then you have this piece. So this is the motor base plate. So this piece right here, as you can see, these wires go into here right here. So these three mounts right here are for the mirror motor, and then these are for attaching this to this ear, which also attaches it to mounting studs on the back of this eggshell to make it more secure. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna secure this thing on here. See if we can kind of get this on here. Sure, we can do some kind of fast forwarding or something like that on this. One thing you do have to be careful with is the plastic feet that these screws screw into. They're a little brittle, so you don't just make them tight. You don't have to torque them down. There's no ugga-duggas with this one. Just literally just tighten it down. The last thing you want to do is break off those plastic feet on the inside of this, and then you can't use your shell anymore. I've done that before. It really sucks. Two more. Okay, so this thing is secured in there. There is a missing one right there, and it's not missing, it's that the head was rusted and it broke off, so that I'm not going to use a screw extractor on a plastic peg, it'll just break the peg. So there's enough. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th one hidden behind here. So this thing is on here now. We're going to do the mirror motors. Plug this in. And then we will get this guy. Mirror motor is in. These are the heated mirror wires. I don't use those right now with this glass. I need to get a pigtail for the E90 that has 4 wires, 2 for the electrochromatic and 2 for the heated element. Once I get that pigtail, it's just wiring up the brown and red wire right here to this brown and black wire, and then you'll get your heated mirrors back. I'm gonna put this on. Okay. So let's go and see what we got. No fancy extra double camera equipment's here. Okay. 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 All right, so I can deal with that. It's a little bit more, you know, ideally I would love for this glass to be like centered and completely flat with the same amount of distance around the edges, but you know, you can't win them all. But before we did this edge right here was like lifting way out of here, and it was just so gnarly. I drove it today and I just could not stop staring at it. And then in the wind, it was vibrating like this because the wind was catching the lip. So hopefully it's better driving wise, but as far as like being able to see behind me, that's what I like to see. I like to see 70-85% of the lane, and then like 10 to 15% of my car, like just that back quarter panel area. Sometimes I push it out even further where I don't see anything. It just depends on how I'm feeling, but that one there is good. It's nice and centered in the housing. So overall, I think I'll take that. Let's open this thing up. So let's take a look here. Yeah, so as you can see, it's a little bit out on this corner right here, but it's not much. It's not terrible compared to what it was. And as you can see, the mirror still looks good. It's not drooping. It's not off angle. So yeah, I think we'll go with that. That was a pretty decent fix. Not too bad. So I relayed my feedback to Attila, and you know, just like to give feedback. You know, that's how people learn. That's how people get better. But it is a niche piece. You know, it's not a high volume piece, so you can't really ask much for that. It's again all my fault for not reading or watching the whole video where he actually said that. So nothing bad on him. It was a decision, a business decision, and a design decision, and I wasn't aware of that because I didn't pay attention. But I think we have a decent solution for that now, and on with the show. We will continue on and do more work. I'll be back later with another one. Till the next one. All right, last view of the completed mirrors, fitment wise. pretty good.